Travis Wayne Goodsell. The workers are filling in the trench that they had put a water pipe in. So you'll hear some shoveling in the background. Which I'm not really hearing the wind noise that I normally hear, but you'll probably hear it on the recorder. So there really isn't anything in the church news of value to point out other than what I've already been doing for years. And I could do a pop quiz video for you, but we'll do a pre-show conference video for you. 3 weeks in advance. And since the prophets are notifying you of Easter over 5 weeks in advance, why not notify you of conference over 3 weeks in advance? 3 weeks in advance. And so, yeah, I'm a little frustrated today. I got Cult Killer from Antonio Banderas on DVD, except that the movie wasn't on the disc. So, that's missed opportunity. Having to send it back. And then Serpico, that I had gotten through trade-in at the beginning of the month, the mother is speaking Italian and there's no captions below. So I've been trying to figure out how to do that all day. The captions just won't show for her. So, one of those years. Elder Razband is starting his ministry in the Pacific. And so, pop quiz, what's the big deal about the church prophets in Australia? It's why I do my videos, because you're never going to find out otherwise. I think the videos are still on YouTube. The Australian press exposed that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is violating Australian financial laws with their offshore bank accounts. But despite the lawsuits, the church swooped in and all is silent. Yeah, the church forced the Australian government to drop the case and thus silenced the press. In Australia, this is how powerful the church is. This is how wicked they are. So, what to expect for conference? The Buffalo Bill, he was no friend to the Mormons. The Mormons were an antithesis to Buffalo Bill's career. He was Union, not Confederate. First and foremost. Dear God. And all those other stories of how the church is paying corporations, but claiming that they're actually helping people, women and children specifically. My goodness, what's all this on my screen? Doing a conference video now. We're not really doing church news. So, Christians all believe, and thus the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, that Revelation 19 is Judgment Day, the day that shall burn as an oven from Malachi. Not sure why, but the flesh of everybody is dead. It's the only possible connection. as war is involved, and so they think that Jesus is coming back from outer space on a flying white horse to murder everybody. Depending on which religion you are, of course, everybody else. And so Mormons believe Jesus is murdering Islam and Christians and Jews, and Christians believe that Jesus is coming to murder Islam, Jews, and Mormons, and Islam believes that their Jesus is coming to murder Christians, Jews, and Mormons. Isn't that weird? Which Jesus is right, or are they all wrong altogether? I just... Ex-FOMOs. I had a guy today that was making comments about how Joseph Smith is a fraud, and Joseph Smith's planning, but getting it wrong. He's believing the Danite lies. Dear God, you're coming onto my channel where I'm doing videos on the subject, and you think you're going to correct me? By repeating the regurgitated lies. Dear God. It's just so sick and wrong. It's bad enough that I got Mormons threatening me to believe the church is true. But to have ex-FOMOs come on and tell me that, God, that the church is right. Just... you need the wrong feeling. God, so disgraceful. Anyway, Revelation 19, verse 11. John, or the author of John, technically, a Jew, thus this is not to be interpreted as a Christian, Mormon, or Islamist. It's supposed to be interpreted in the learning of the Jews. You know, like Joseph Smith in the Book of Mormon. And so, verse 11 is the day and time. Day and hour of his coming. Yeah, I know, Matthew says that, doesn't it? Have you ever heard of somebody who forges documents? Forges documents with editings in them? To try to trick and deceive people? No? You've lived a sheltered bubble life, have you? This is a sign in the heavens. Signs in the heavens are days and times of the events he's talking about. And I'm the only one on the face of the earth that seems to know this. The white horse. What's the white horse in spice? Pegasus. On the back of Pegasus is the constellation Pisces. Okay? So who is on Pisces? Well, the one who his eyes are a flame of fire, and he has a name that no man knows but he himself. So, you don't know your Egyptian, do you? Book of Mormon told you to learn Egyptian, language of the Egyptians. And you didn't, did you? It's the sun god at noonday, Emmanuel. You know, that Isaiah name for the wrong name, because it's Jesus. Because even Matthew says that Isaiah prophesied of the name Emmanuel, but Matthew's author made the correction and named him Jesus. What does Isaiah know? Nothing. Isaiah is not some great prophet. He got the name of the Christ wrong. He's Christian, not Jewish. See what happens when you got a wrong information? It sprouts into absurdities. And so the sun is on the back of the white horse. Is this too complicated for you? Do you not know that there's the sun that appears during the daytime and it comes from the east to the west every single day? That's why we call it day. Is this too complicated for you? Did they not teach you this in grade school? And so when the sun is in Pisces on the back of the white horse, hey, guess what? It's heading there right now. I wonder why. Because verse 17, on 8 April 2024, an angel will stand in the middle of the sun. An eclipse. And so, there's supposed to be a wedding supper feast of the Lamb. Because Jesus is real and literal history, so therefore the Lamb is real. The Lamb's going to get married to a human woman. It's all real, nothing symbolic here. Yeah, Deuteronomy or Doctrine and Covenants 58, in verse 9, I do see that they did make the connection finally. Dear God. But yeah, Joseph Smith knows about this. He knows the date. Because he knows the date of Revelation chapter 12, which is the beginning of the latter days. This, in Revelation 19, is the date of the last day of the latter days. 8 years. 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. Oh no, Travis, your counting might be off. 2022, 2023, 2024. 8 days for Passover, or as the Christians wrongfully call it, Passion Week. That Matthew guy was talking about Passover. He was not talking about Passion Week. He's talking about the latter day time period. Oh, he was giving us the years of the latter days with Passion Week? Huh. Yep. Learning of the Jews. There ain't nothing Christian about it. And so, conference weekend is right before. Joseph Smith organized the church on the 6th of April, 1830. He did this for a reason. It's 2 days before the latter day. But it's the start of the church, the birth of the church. Just like the birth of the latter days in Revelation 12. But what is interesting is that when Joseph Smith died in 1844, that's a 180-year difference. And if you know all about the tree of life of the Jews, you'd know that the tree of life has a direct comparison with 180 days, or 180 years technically. And so otherwise, 194 years from 1830. But yeah, the tree of life is right there in the beginning of the Book of Mormon for a reason. As they tell you the dates of the latter days. 1 Nephi chapter 1, verses 8 through 10. Oh, there it is from Revelation chapter 12, 23rd September 2017. So the Book of Mormon starts us with the first year of the latter days. And so that whole Jesus coming from outer space, but not on a white horse, to bountiful and the temple. Yeah, there's supposed to be a temple in Zion. There isn't. You missed the Exodus in 2020. And so now here we come to the final end of the latter days. No temple. No Mormon believes. Because you're all worshiping a false Christ Jesus. And as a result, there's going to be destruction. The day that shall burn as an oven. Joseph Smith tried to warn you of that. Tried to let you know of your Christ. And even a God above let you know in 2020 on 18 of March to let Mormons know, hey Mormons, church is false. The one mighty and strong is here. Listen to him. You need to go. Time to go in the Exodus. He parted the waters. Creeping death appeared. He sued the great and abominable church. Hello, Mormons. Anybody listening? No. You missed it. And so here we are. Utter destruction of Mormons. And Mormons don't seem to understand the seriousness of the situation they've placed themselves in. They will have nothing, no one to blame but they themselves. It's just like the man with the boat, or the man with during the flood. Dam breaks. People come to warn them, hey, the dam is breaking. You need to leave. Oh no, I'll trust in Jesus to save me. Dam breaks. Floodwaters come in. He's on the top of the roof. Guy in a boat comes by. Jump in. We'll save you. Nope, Jesus will be my savior. I'll wait for him. And then the waters overflow the house. He's treading water. Helicopter comes to rescue him. And he says, nope, Jesus will save me. And then he drowns. Gets to the pearly gates because it's Christian. Talks to Peter rather than Jesus. Because you can't have Jesus. Because that's somehow blasphemy. Dogma, dogma, dogma. And so he says, what happened? I had faith in Jesus, so he would save me, and I died. What happened? And then he says that God sent you all those warning voices, and you ignored them. So it's the same thing for Mormons. Mormons have ignored the warning voices. Joseph Smith plastered it everywhere for you. The Book of Mormon has it plastered all over for you. The whole Bible plasters it all over for you, Mormons, as Joseph Smith told you in section 103, verses 16 and 17. Hey, the Bible is all about you. You need to put yourself in there in the place of the people so that you can understand the interpretation of the prophecies. Nope. The Mormons don't believe. Computer covers falling. How art thou fallen, O computer cover, son of the morning? Even Nelson, last year, fell. Mormons still didn't get it. That's his baby name meaning. Dear God, Mormons, what does it take? Calgon. And so this is the last conference of the latter days. This means that the church needs to change the name. dropped Latter-day Saints. Sure enough, that's what their website is, the Church of Jesus Christ. They've dropped Latter-day Saints. But that's because they want to turn Christian, want to do away with the apocalypse thing. Sort of. They know that they can only get their kingdom back if they can cause the apocalypse, the fulfillment of the prophecies. And so this technically is the Last Supper, right before the day that shall burn as an oven, as all of Christianity and Islam believe. Yes, even Islam believes, just as Christians do, because they too are part of the great and abominable church of Christianity, created by Constantine. So for the Church of Jesus Christ, I did the video earlier. Come on, guys. Keep up. There are only two churches. Jews, Christians. And Jews are 16 or 17 million worldwide. Unfortunately, they've been utterly decimated by the great and abominable church, such that their biblical Hebrew text is completely wrong, like Joseph Smith said. So they don't know who they're looking for. The Rambam, if you remember the videos when I talked about him not too long ago, likewise doesn't know. And so he made the mistake of following in the Christian pattern of believing that the Jewish accepted scriptures, which Christians call Old Testament of Jesus, therefore are literal history, when it was Constantine that turned them into literal history. So the Jews don't understand about prophecy and revelation either. And so that's why they need to be reclaimed. And so it's unclear as to whether the Jews are going to be a part of a dual prophecy, because the Christ is the Mormon Christ. He's supposed to save Mormons. He's not intending to save Jews. However, if he is put into a position to save the Jews, he will do so. Just throwing it out there, Netanyahu, just so that you know. But America, I guess, has to fall. And so Trump can be the savior of the Jews. That's what they're setting it up to be. Biden has come out and said he's an antichrist. Anti-Semite antichrist. The Jews need Jesus. Dear God, how dense. As a president. I heard that hot mic. Dear God. And I still have the recording. I recorded that. Nonetheless, yeah, that's what's being done. Biden is siding with Islam to be anti-Semitic so that Trump gets to be the Christ, the chosen one who saves the Jews. But that's not until after the election. But Trump has to win the election. Trump's not going to win the election. They're going to try to rig the election and decertify it and voter tampering and all that stuff. And then states will decertify the election results if Trump doesn't win. And so then, yeah, America will fall, so that there will be no president. And thus there will be nobody to save the Jews. Or Ukraine, which is Ezekiel 38. Because Jesus is going to come in the midst of the Ukrainian war and murder the Ukrainians for Putin. Isn't that how the Sisters of Fatima said it? And so, yeah, this is the end of the World Conference. You know, if they fail, because it's the enemy that does this. It's not God that's going to do it. It's not the Christ of Mormons who's going to do this. He's just a human just like you, and you don't want to believe him because he's not supernatural like Jesus is. If you truly are the Christ of the Mormons, save yourself from our murdering you. Dear God. Just like Unstoppable with Bruce Willis. His son finds out that he's supernatural. A superhero. So he gets a gun and wants to shoot his dad to prove it to his friends. Oh my God. Son, we need to have a talk. Your dad can drown in a body of water. That's his kryptonite. Samuel L. Jackson is Mr. Glass. And so yeah, this is the end of the world conference. Get rid of seriously? Oh my God. We'll get rid of these as we go. So yeah, I've got to find my pictures on the Last Supper and redo it so that Karen is a part of it. Like I said, I've been doing these videos. I've already done this. This is just a repeat. And so I'm trying to purge my big old pile. This is the only mess I have. And plus the stuff that fell on the floor here. Nothing else is a mess. I don't know what people are talking about. Dear God, such hate. What do you want from me? Because that telling me my place is a mess has nothing to do with the truth or falsehood of the content of the message. Mormons just do that as a hate thing to, you know, justify not listening or believing. Like I said, there have been numerous voices for Mormons, and Mormons refuse to listen. And so, Nelson, in case you hadn't noticed, keeps crossing red lines that violate the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith, and even past precedent of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He told us in the beginning he's hinge pointing. He's taken the church in a whole new direction. And sure enough, that's exactly what he's been doing. He's turning us into Christian, with Lucifer in the background, because the great and abominable church is Christianity. Jesus is Lucifer. Oh no, the wolf in sheep's clothing is Lucifer in Jesus' clothing. Oh no. Oops. You fell for it. You got punked. You worship Lucifer. Good job. And I see the many witnesses of those of you who do worship Lucifer. And so, yeah, the reason for him crossing these lines is to purge the snowflake Mormons. But Mormons are too dense to catch on. Dear God. Dark Helmet is wrong. Evil is stupid. That's why they always lose. So, yes, the final Latter-day General Conference. Okay, that's the title. And so, yeah, the second coming is expected to be on Monday. And so that's why I've been telling you, and mocking Nelson for failing, that Malachi talks about the Christ suddenly coming to his temple. Malachi is talking about Emmanuel, the sun god at noonday. Nonetheless, Christians and Islamists and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints says it's Jesus. And they've altered the interpretation. And so it's the second coming with Jesus. And so that was the whole plan. And from the beginning, when Nelson first made the announcement that they are going to be remodeling the Salt Lake Temple and Temple Square to build the Salt Lake Temple on an earthquake-proof or more sustainable during an earthquake up to 7 Richter scale, I think. Not very much, because if Utah has one, and we found out on Fox 13 News Utah that there are 2 fault lines that intersect right there at Temple Square. And so if there is earthquakes, and they, yeah, 7 ain't gonna help. It'll be much larger than that, as the one in 18th of March was pretty significant for Utah standards. And though, yeah, I know there was the Kennecott scandal that was involved with that too. But nonetheless. And so, yeah, I've noticed, even in the church news, I mean, doing it early for Easter has me concerned that they've got something planned in advance of Easter. But nothing has happened so far. We have Friday that the partial shutdown of the government needs to be resolved. And we'll just go a little long today. Yeah, we're only at 30 minutes. And they would only shut down the government, at MAGA, in case you're not catching on, if and only if they want to throw out as much stuff as they can to hurt Biden during this election time. And so with the court cases being extended past the election, that's concerning. But that's why the other one was resolved, so we just have this one to deal with. And a 9/11 event, like a day that shall burn as an oven, would also contribute to hurting Biden for the election, because it happens during his watch. And so Bush got away with his 9/11 only because he strong-armed everybody. Came up with the Patriot Act, which was the Lucifer Act, taking away everybody's agency, including Congress, until Congress found out about it. And they said, wait a minute, it said what? We trusted you and just signed it. Are you kidding me? Tell me you're not that incompetent in the government position you hold. Yep, you are. So yeah, a lot of abominations from that Patriot Act, which was the main reason for it, plus to go after the family trouble, Saddam Hussein. But yeah, there are too many people who misinterpret conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories are legitimate if they are a logically sound argument, thus theory, which can be tested. If it can't be tested, it's not a theory. But nobody wants to get the right definitions for words anymore. You know, like constitutional republic. I don't think anybody knows what that is. Which is very sad. I am not hearing it from the news. I am not hearing it from my political leaders. Not a single one of them seems to know what a constitutional republic is. Mitt Romney. God. So, if nothing happens before conference, and the church does not fall as prophesied, and Paul McBride, oops, wrong one, sent me a comment in which he brought up again section 64, which was given on September 11th, 1831. I did that video last year multiple times in multiple different titles of videos, different presentations. And this is where Hinckley, this is the quote from Hinckley that I've been putting in videos for you, and he's threatening to burn you. If the church wants to protect Mormons, they can do it. But the church is demanding you pay up and are obedient. Otherwise, they're going to murder you. That's not how it works from Amos 3:7. You're supposed to warn the Mormons, not tell them to obey you. God. Yeah, we obey you and pay you money, and then we'll be magically saved? Like Kieran said? God. It's just so obvious this church is false, let alone incompetent. But yeah, the church has made it very clear they're gonna murder everybody and overthrow the government. The church is behind it all. I've been doing this forever. As the church put me here in this apartment with this little blue threat way back when that ended me here. And so, yeah, here in 64, so 23, again, 23 days before, boom, the coming of the Son of Man. Wearing the white shirt, standing by the bedside. Emmanuel. You know, Mormons don't care. And so, in 24, for after today cometh the burning. This is speaking after the manner of the Lord. For verily I say, tomorrow all the proud and they that do wickedly shall be as stubble, and I will burn them up. Joseph Smith History adds in, they that come shall burn you. Alma 3, talking about the Amlicites who defect, become Lamanites, mark themselves with red in their foreheads. That's coinciding with Revelation 13 about the mark of the beast on the MAGA cap and the foreheads. It's all proven fact because it's all happened already. Within the time frame it was supposed to happen. Like I said, we're down to 20 days left. So it's kind of stupid of you to think that I don't know what I'm talking about. That you're gonna Latter-day Splain me. It's all happened already. You're late. You missed it. So don't come telling me that things are going to happen, because we're almost done. Dear God. And so he finishes off verse 24 with, I will not spare any Mormon that remains in Babylon. Babylon is the great and abominable church. It's also the land where the great and abominable church resides and holds rule, where pharaohs said no, because we're compromised to the church to protect and defend it with a covenant path and the death penalty that every single one of them were old enough to know about. So there's lots of things that I could have done little tiny videos for, and I may still do. So here's a preview of these short video clips for conference, if we have it. And it's all about what they're going to restore for this conference weekend, because they were supposed to have the temple. Oops. Supposed to have the palace of Jesus. Oops. And last time I drove by, it still was gutted. The palace of Jesus was still gutted. They still got to do all the inside work. So yeah, they are nowhere near being done. 2 years, I'm thinking it may actually be more. I don't even know if it's going to be ready in time for the Winter Olympics if Utah gets the bid. Dear God. And so some of the other things that they've wanted to restore as, the restoration of the kingdom that they've all been talking about all these centuries, is they're going to restore polygamy. Nelson did it. It's already made the change in the temple. I've been doing the videos, guys. Are you not obedient? Have you not had this talk with your wife? Have you not pointed out to section 132 that if your wife doesn't give you an 11-year-old child bride, she's got to be destroyed? Huh. Sorry, honey. You have to give me extra wives, 10 virgins, 11-year-olds, or you have to be destroyed. Have you had this talk with her? The majority of my viewers are men. Even if you're old men, you're creepy, you still gotta get sealed to you have to obey. Hinckley threatened you. You must be obedient to the temple covenants or you're gonna die. And in order to go to the temple, you have to pay up. You have to pay the church to save your life. It's an extortion threat. So, child bride polygamy. It's back and you're disobedient, so the church is going to murder you. Good job. And so, yes, they'll bring back the death penalties with the big boom. And so thereafter, they can get away with it because only 11-year-old girls are going to be alive. And so they can be told anything they want. And they'll believe automatically. And so, yeah, the church intends to become a tyrant nation, a tyrant kingdom, and blame it all on Jesus. Yeah, Jesus says that apostates are going to be whipped and burned. Sorry, that's Jesus. Nothing I can do about it. I have to burn you. God. And so slavery, law of consecration. You have to give everything to the church. You own nothing. It's all the Lord's property. Oh. Your wives, hand her over. You are unworthy. And so, yeah, sex trafficking with the polygamy, because of the slavery part of it. It's no longer tithing, it's now everything. And so, it's unclear if they're going to call it the kingdom of Jesus Christ, or if they'll go back to Deseret. Probably not Deseret, because that's a Book of Mormon thing. And they're going to want to get rid of the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith. Declare that Jesus is the light bearer and nobody will know Latin. And so you go, oh, okay. You know, Uchtdorf got away with it in 2017 to the Aaronic priesthood. Be bearers of light. My jaw just dropped when I heard that. Dear God, he just said, what? And so, oh my God. With the community of Christ Church giving up on their origin with Joseph Smith and starting a whole new church of Christianity, selling it all to the church for 2 mites. Dear God, they got screwed on that. It's unclear as to what the church is going to do. We know all these years, decades, and centuries that they've been lying to us about church history, telling us what is faith promoting. And yeah, the Church News had historians publish some stories about 2 sister missionaries from the pioneer days. You know, and the token example does not mean you're still not white supremacist. You gotta have more than a token. See, my basketball coach, when the guys were trying to slam the basketball and Peter finally did it one time, they all cheered, oh, look at that, I did it, look at me, look over here. The coach simply responded, you haven't slammed the basketball. You got to be able to do it repetitively until you can say that you can slam a basketball. Doing it a token time does not mean you can slam a basketball. Likewise with religion. Good job, you found out one line upon line is true. You've still got a long ways to go. Or, what is more common in the church, you know what not to do, and therefore you conclude that the church must be true because you found out what isn't true. And you treat a fast and testimony meeting as an AA meeting. A confessional. And now I know that giving fentanyl to my husband was the wrong thing to do, and it's now gotten my mom in trouble. If you're paying attention to the news here in Utah. Dear God, that evil woman. You know, my first wife, yeah, she physically hurt me. I don't think she tried to drug me or poison me, but she joked about chopping off certain appendages because the bobbit thing was going on during that time. Why are we married? Why don't you just leave? Why are you torturing me? If you don't love me, say you don't love me and leave. Why are you doing this to me? But it's unclear what they're going to do with Joseph Smith and his works, including the Book of Mormon as the keystone. Because the Book of Mormon still says, to this day, hasn't been edited out, that it's in the learning of the Jews. And so 2 Nephi chapter 3 verse 5, if anybody learns what the learning of the Jews is and then gets to that part in the Book of Mormon, they're going to find out about Messiah ben Joseph and Messiah ben David in the learning of the Jews. But if they're thinking that there is no Christ, that therefore they can perpetuate Jesus as 1984 did with Big Brother, such that you have the living prophet of Jesus on Jesus TV 24/7 talking to the slaves of Mormons, telling them to work hard and maybe one day they'll be worthy enough to get an extra loaf of bread for the day. Or if they're just going to perpetuate the lies as they've always done, but the lies are catching up to them. But if they succeed in destroying everything and thus taking down internet and they get to control the narrative again, like Brigham Young did, then it won't matter. They can just deny all the Mormons access to the scriptures, and it's whatever the prophets tell them to believe in, as they are going to be too busy working to know. And thus only on Sundays will they be subjected to misinformation about the religion, to try to coddle them as to being slaves for Jesus. Yoke yourself to Jesus. You think that was just a personal slip? No, because it's a big difference between saying yoke yourself to Jesus versus take upon yourself Jesus's yoke. How did he misread that on the teleprompter? How did the editor miss that? Dear God. And so, yeah, the church never really wants anything to do with translation. And so even though they now have possession of the Joseph Smith translation, the Lamanites made it very clear what they intended to do with all of the scriptures. Destroy them. They claimed that they had the right to them, but their intention was to destroy them. And so here we see the church doing exactly what the Lamanites were wanting to do to the scriptures, is that they want to claim that they have the right to them, but they're destroying them already with misinterpretations. I mean, Kiernan, dear God, he made up his own doctrine. You'll be forgiven for murder and denying the Holy Ghost. Jesus has that kind of power. Oh my God. This is what happens when you put in people who are not qualified simply because you made a deal with the princess of Saudi Arabia. It's just humiliating. And so, yeah, it wouldn't be surprising at all if the church just scraps the scriptures altogether, and that you only hear them on church TV, because all the other TV channels and news are gone. It's only the church for your source of information, and it's going to be all lies 24/7. And so, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all if because every Mormon now has all their scriptures on their phone. Oops, no more cell service. And so you have to go to a place to listen to the words of the prophet at work or something. Put your shoulder to the wheel, push along. Do your duty with a heart full of song. We all have work, get back to work. Put your shoulder to the wheel. That'll be playing 24/7 while you're working. Like elevator music. Dear God. And so this is only if the church doesn't fall. Scriptures make it very clear it's going to fall. That the church itself will destroy itself. That they've already paid the ransom money to have it destroyed. And so that's why I'm kind of wondering if this pre-Easter acknowledgement way early is an indication that they're going to destroy the church early. Now, likewise, they want their kingdom back, and so they have to destroy the current form of the church to come back and restore Brigham Young in its completeness. They're using can't put new wine in old wineskins. And so that's what I see them doing. But yeah, all the prophecies make it very clear that the great and abominable church is supposed to fall, and great shall be the fall thereof, and that Mormons are going to be the cause of the fall of it. But I'm just not seeing that, other than the majority of Mormons are gone and no longer affiliated with the church, as it's down to 2 to 3 million. Yeah. So 1 Nephi 22 and verse 13. The blood of that great and abominable church, which is the whore of all the earth, shall turn upon their own heads. That they will war among themselves. I'm not seeing that yet. But in extension, that both Christianity and Islam are also part of the great and abominable church of the great and abominable Jesus Christ. I can see that happening. Christians, Trump has already said he's kicking out Islam for his election promise. I heard it over the weekend. He was talking about the southern border, saying we're going to have a major deportation when I become president. And he then went and said, there are also Chinese and Africans and Middle Easterners who are coming through the southern border. That's what you got to pay attention to. That is your blacks and your Asians and your Islamists. Now, yes, Trump is anti-Semitic. That's well known and established. But because of Jared and who he's married to and who he's personal friends with, Trump knows that he's going to be set up to be the savior of the Jews. And so that's why he would go on to tell Gorka in that interview today, was it? Or was it yesterday? But regardless, the news was covering it this morning, I saw. So it was most likely from last night. That the Jews hate their religion if they don't vote for Trump. That's what he means. Trump is going to save the Jews. If Jews don't vote for Trump, they hate their religion. You got to pay attention to these guys. You got to understand where they're coming from and what they mean by what they say. And so, yeah, in case you didn't know, the election will be the end of America. It will fall. Constitution's been destroyed, and America will now fall in this election. They've already told us they're going to destroy it. If Trump doesn't win, yes, there will be a bloodbath. That's what he said. I heard it from Fox News. I heard the clip. Dear God, Fox News misinterpreted it. And they're trying to guilt shame the deep state Dems who did catch it correctly. And so, yeah, if the day that shall burn as an oven doesn't happen, we will have civil war. Once America falls, civil war. You then will be kicked out of states that you do not support. So Utah, if you do not support the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you better run for the hills and flee quick. Once you see America fall, if you are living in Utah and you want nothing to do with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you know you need to flee. Because those in government are Mormon. You know they are going to hand over the government to the church. Which apparently means Governor Cox is Lucifer. Who's going to hand it to Nelson? Do you know that they called you Lucifer, Cox? Lucifer is calling you Lucifer. Isn't that ironic? So yeah, we know this is what's going to happen. It's very obvious because the church has been saying it, and now MAGA has been saying it for years. This is what's going to happen. And so, only saving America, which Mormons refuse to do. Joseph Smith said Mormons need to save America, save the Constitution from the brink of ruin. Oops, you helped destroy it. And so, America will fall. There is no Zion. There will be no Zion. There are no Mormons who believe. You have to believe and then work on building Zion. And then the results of your working will produce Zion. You can't just believe and have a spiritual witness feeling that Zion will magically appear without any work to build it. Zion is the people, and if there are no people, there is no Zion. It's a real simple concept, a real simple doctrine. And so, yeah, the church has been collecting as much money as they can for this whole purpose. So that when America falls, the church owns a whole ton of property, a whole ton of money, and land. And thus, he who owns the land rules the people. Back to the feudal system. And so, yeah, I'm not sure how Mormons are going to war amongst themselves unless it's after the election, when the governor hands over the government to the church. And then Mormons go, wait a minute, whoa, we didn't ask to be slaves to you. You were going to make us prosper. You told us to be prepared for the death of the king. We'll never go hungry again. Yeah. See, this is what many Mormons have been finding out already when the church has shocked them with their hinge pointing to weed out the snowflakes. That's why they are anti-Semitic, racist, sexist, bigoted, hateful of the poor and the needy. Despite all their claims in church news of, well, we're helping the poor. No, you're not. You're helping the corporations. You're making them rich with a business deal that you are profiting from. The money the church gives, they get more back from the business deal in several different ways. And so, that's what to expect. Mormons who are shocked because their spiritual witness feelings don't come to pass. That's usually why it happens. Why ex-FOMOs leave the church is because their spiritual witness feelings were rejected by the prophets over the pulpit of conference. Jesus hates the gays. Oh no. Mormons who support gays and are gay leave the church. Did you not catch on to this? With the Relief Society thing, Mormon women are supposed to leave the church. Yeah, you need to obey. There are blessings and prosperity in obeying, being submissive and compliant. There is no empowerment for women in this church. Ooh, you get to wear slacks? Wow. You are so empowered. The church took away priesthood and priesthood office from you since Brigham Young. They're not giving it back. It's not the true church. And yet you stay. And I hear too many Mormon women say, well, I don't really need the priesthood. My husband having the priesthood is all I need. You know, I feel better when I have younger men in the home. Oh my God, did you just say that? That's creepy. In the singles ward, all the women want to feel the priesthood power. Yep, there are sex jokes among Mormons because of the repression of sex. And so, yeah, porn will be banned permanently from the state of Utah. It's sadly, though, they are also going to deny men masturbation as they've been doing, and likewise for women, and thus will cause problems because God created us to have orgasms. The church wants to deny orgasms. That's Lucifer's plan of happiness, by the way, from the temple. And as a result, when you deny men orgasms, we get irritable, and cranky, and violent the longer it goes. And so, unless they plan on having the teenage boys either castrated or married off, rather than marrying them off in a harem of the priesthood leaders. Remember the FLDS church and the Lost Boys? Yeah, the Lost Boys were complaining because all the girls their age were being taken as sister wives for the old priesthood leaders. And so because they complained, they were excommunicated and booted to the streets, where they became criminals in order to survive. In the lawsuit, in the court case, the judge went to the church to ask if the church would take them in. The church said, we don't know them, we're not taking care of them. They're apostate core whores. Really, they're 14-year-old boys who were led astray by their leader that came from Brigham Young. So yeah, the way you see the church treat people both Mormon and those who aren't Mormon, is going to be more prominent when they get to run things the way they want to run things. When they talk about polygamy with 11-year-old girls, they mean it. When they talk about murdering apostates, they mean it. When they talk about polygamy for the priesthood leaders, they mean it. Your wife, if she's pretty, bye-bye. Because this is what they were accusing Joseph of, so that Brigham and his Danites could do it. This is why it's important to not be a dumbass like that ex-FOMO who thought he knew better. He knew all about Joseph. No, you don't. You know what the Danites told you to believe. But that's what the church is going to do for their kingdom. With finances, with government, with religion. All of what they accused Joseph Smith of falsely, they want it back. To do it again. And it'll be worse this time, because no United States to interfere. Just like with Trump. And so, yeah, we can, not do anything, or you can go around and tell Mormons the truth, and then have Mormons war on you and murder you. And thus would start the war. Because that's already happened towards me. Mormons are wanting me dead now, because I'm getting more plain and precious in my videos. And so that's what I see happening. But it's not going to happen unless we have more protesters standing up and saying, hey, no, you gotta go. It's illegal what you're doing to women. It's illegal what you're doing with tithing. It's illegal. You can't do it. You need to be held accountable. You need to stop. And thus will trigger the Desnat Nazi Mormons to want to murder you. And so, oh no, what do? Do we punish the Mormons who are murderers? That the church is clearly responsible for? No. Remember when the Bible got banned? Yeah, they weren't wanting to reverse it. And it wasn't until somebody then filed for the Book of Mormon to be banned that all of a sudden, oh, okay, well, this is going too far now. Likewise. And the sword of their own hands shall fall upon their own heads, and they shall be drunken with their own blood. And so I can see that with the election. I don't see how it's going to happen before 8 April or during 8 April. I don't know. It's happening right now in America against Islamists, but I don't know if Israel does a big counteroffensive to get more hostages freed and take out more Hamas, because Hamas was just hiding in a hospital in Rafah. That's why they went in. And Rafah is right there by the border of Egypt. I told you this is what's going to happen to the port that the United States is setting up for aid. Hamas will infiltrate it and hide and force Israel to attack it, because Hamas is there, hostages are there. And that's exactly what they did down south at the border. And Israel is not stopping. They want their people back. Let our people go. And nobody wants to acknowledge this. Everybody is an enemy against Israel to destroy them. So, yeah, we're seeing a dualism in that sense, that the two churches, Christianity, Islam versus the Jews, as evangelicals are only thinking that Jesus is going to come and save the Jews. So they don't really care about the Jews. They say they're friends with the Jews, but they're not. But the Israeli press takes anything they can get to promote the Israeli people. So, alright, 6 o'clock. Be posted later tonight. Great. So, should I watch more Star Trek or a movie? Probably Star Trek.